They clearly enjoyed themselves. With an approaching deadline for parties to comply with the Political Parties Act, reality is slowly sinking in for many of the smaller parties that their days are numbered. There has been a flurry of activities as parties, both small and big, strategize on how to defeat the act, including moving to court. They're demanding amendments to the act, claiming it is aimed at forcing them to close shop. The tough new rules include a registration fee of 600,000 Kenya shillings. Parties are expected to comply with the rules by the end of the year or risk being deregistered. This week in Portraits of Parties, Chris Theory examines why majority of the parties are dreading the act.
The Political Parties Act came into effect on July 1st. However, parties were given up to 6 months to put their houses in order and comply with the stringent conditions. Aiming to bring order among the chaotic parties, it is a journey that started way back in 1997 when the 8th Parliament shelved the bill due to some resistance from the ruling party. But now the bill has become law and with serious repercussions for the parties, many of which are briefcase parties. The law also gives the Electoral Commission of Kenya wide-ranging powers in regulating activities of political parties. Now standing at over 300, political parties expected to comply with the tough regulations by the end of this year. Come January 1st, 2009, the Registrar of Political Parties will deregister any party that will not have complied. Among the regulations in the Act include a registration fee of 600,000 shillings per party and membership of not less than 200 voting members from each district across the country. They should also open party offices in every district. Since the government will be funding the political parties, the Act strictly forbids any foreign funding. The accounts of every party will be audited by the Auditor General annually, then forwarded to Parliament and to the Registrar.
Pwani Jogo! Western Jogo! Nairobi Jogo!
The Act is particularly strict against parties that are founded ethnic, age, tribal, racial, gender or regional basis. The Act also proposes serious sanctions for those who do not allow regular, periodic or open election of its officials. It will also not allow those that use words, slogans, emblems or symbols that are similar to other parties. Parties can also be deregistered if they do not participate in parliamentary or civic elections for a period of 6 years, obtained its registration fraudulently or misused funds allocated to them. But even before parties have fully complied to the laid down regulations, more than 100 political parties have already elicited outcry and strong opposition.
As soon as Parliament resumes, those amendments should be prioritized, and maybe as part of the amendments, then the date for the commencement can be pushed back to perhaps 1st of July next year.
The area dealing with parties' relationship with development partners. Yeah, you remember the Act clearly cuts off a long-standing relationship between political parties and the development partners, and that's not healthy.
One of the major issues that they are raising is the registration fee, which they claim is exorbitant and meant to stop them from operating. But analysts think otherwise.
One of the purposes of the Act was to deviate from the big man syndrome, where one individual can pay the fees, can buy the members, and he or she is the owner of the party. 600,000 shillings is a lot for any party, but it is too much for the small parties.
Maybe there is a case for, during the amendments, for relooking at whether that fee is too high.
If a political party that desires to obtain office in the Republic of Kenya is not able to raise that sort of money for registration, then one questions, about its credibility as an institution.
The parties are also raising a red flag over the credibility of the electoral body in the country, which has been empowered to oversee the registration of the political parties. ECK has also been mandated to conduct election for the parties to avoid rigging, violence and misrepresentation, as it has been the trend.
You cannot entrust the management of the Political Parties Act to the current ECK. It is just going to lead to disasters. You find circulars being issued right, left and center gratuitously by the chairman. The other day he was advising small political parties to merge purely gratuitously. I mean, these are things that should be left to the Kenyan people.
Never mind what the ECK commissioners say. Perception is very, very important. And the perception of Kenyans right now is that the ECK have lost integrity. It's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's the Electoral Commission as an institution. It doesn't always have to be the way it is. So let's not always see the ECK in terms of Kivuitu and his commissioners. It's important to see that there's a very important constitutional body called the Electoral Commission. And that is a body that is going to be given the mandate to oversee. Incidentally, not as intensely as one would want to see in terms of oversight of the political parties.
Similarity of names as parties split has been a rather confusing phenomena in Kenya. Parties like NAK and NAK Kenya, Ford Asili, Asili Sabasaba, Ford Kenya, New Ford Kenya, ODM and ODM Kenya might end up fighting to retain their identities when the rules come into force.
Political parties want to use a three-pronged approach. They want to pursue amendments through lobbying their members of parliament and through lobbying the ECK on certain areas that they say are prohibitive. If the two fail, whether now or sometimes in the future, they shall pursue a court process to get a constitutional interpretation of the law so that the areas that are felt to be clashing with the constitution are amended.
However, it will not be smooth sailing for the big political parties in the country. For instance, attempts by President Kibaki to reorganize the Party of National Unity so as to comply with the act has been strongly opposed by the affiliate parties like NAK Kenya, Ford Kenya NDP. Officials of the oldest party in the country, KANU, also have an appeal task to comply with the act. The party is yet to hold its National Delegates Congress and elections.
And KANU may have a good name, but it also, in a sense, represents one of the darkest seasons of our country. And so there's a sense in which we need to put it in the history books, be looking at it and say, we should never go back there.
Even as smaller parties move to court to challenge its coming into force, the ECK is already receiving party constitutions, the fee and other requirements. Come January next year, the number of political parties in the country is expected to reduce by a large margin, even as the smaller parties fight to remain relevant. Chris Dhairu, Citizen TV, Nairobi.